Welcome to the Mortgage Broker Podcast, tailor-made for Canadian mortgage industry professionals. Proudly presented by A Better Way Mortgage Group, this podcast is your trusted source for insider insights, market updates, and strategies to elevate your career in the ever-evolving world of mortgage brokering. Whether you're a seasoned broker with A Better Way Mortgage Group or an industry enthusiast looking to stay ahead, our episodes are designed to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the Canadian mortgage space. Welcome to the Mortgage Broker Podcast. This is the very first episode of the Mortgage Broker Podcast, and we are super excited to launch this show. We are the partners of A Better Way Mortgage Group, one of the largest groups in the DLCG network, so the Dominion Lending Centers group of companies network. We own two franchises with this group of companies, a Dominion Lending Center franchise and a Mortgage Architects franchise. We are an operational mortgage brokerage based out of Vancouver, BC. Our main source of business is located in the province of BC. We have an office in Alberta and a soon-to-come office in Ontario, which we'll be talking about later on. My name is Dean Lawton. I am one of the partners of A Better Way Mortgage Group. I'm sitting here with my two other partners that I'll allow each of them to have the moment to introduce themselves, and then we'll just kick this off of like, why are we doing this? You know, who we are, of course, and some of the future topics that you can look forward to going forward. So, Jason, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, so I'm super excited. It's the first podcast I've ever done, which is a little bit weird for me, but yeah, I mean, I've had pretty wide lens on the industry in my past. I've done everything from brokering to being a bank specialist with a major FI being RBC for 7 or 8 years. I've also worked for a mortgage finance company in the capacity of a regional vice president, selling the brokers their funds, and from there went over to back to the bank, and I focused on running the sales force for one of the big red banks. So pretty large scope on that, and then. Prior to coming over to partner with U2, I should say, I was a senior vice president for Mortgage Architects. So I had a lot of in-depth looks at franchises and operations and growth and how to really make things efficient and recruitment and really like to build on the sales aspect of it. So I've got a pretty wide lens on this, and happy to share some of my past experiences, and hopefully you guys can take some value away from this.
My name is Derek Williamson, again, one of the partners of A Better Way Mortgage Group. Really excited about this podcast. We've been talking about it for the last 6 months or so, and we just had to put our heads together and figure out a structure and a rollout and a name and everything else. So I'm happy that we're here. Bit of my history: I've been licensed as a broker for a little over 10 years. We did the hands-on brokering piece for quite a bit of it. I actually partnered with Dean right out of the gates. We've known each other since high school, essentially. We've done everything from hands-on brokering, working with realtors and referral partners and that. We also ran a business called the Funding Department, which is where we worked with mortgage brokers across the country. We helped them with their B private alternative files, typically for brokers that didn't want to do them or didn't know how to do them. So that was a massive learning piece for us and our team. It helped us figure out process and structure and systems because there was a lot coming in there. And, we've learned a ton. We built Thrive Mortgage as well. We've ran a podcast actually for the last 3 years pretty consistently, talking a little bit more about hands-on market and product. And again, just really excited to get this going.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of wrap up just with a little bit more about who I am. So again, partnered with Derek, followed along that entire journey with Derek. Our other podcast, which we've been doing for, to Derek's point, just over 3 years, almost 200 episodes. It's a great resource. Our focus there was just to focus direct to the consumer, the person buying the home. And this podcast is a little unique where we're actually focused on the mortgage broker specifically. And I mean, it's not to say that, if you're not a mortgage broker, you can't listen to this show, but that is really the lens that we're focused on here is the mortgage broker. And primarily, one of the hundreds of brokers that works with our group of companies, the Better Way Mortgage Group. We're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that we do within the Better Way Mortgage Group from a training perspective. We're going to touch on some of that later on in this episode. But yeah, just to echo Derek's point, we built a very successful company in Thrive Mortgage, which was a mortgage broker firm focused on doing mortgages for arguably the AAA Canadians. When I say AAA, the clients that are focused on the prime space. That was our focus with Thrive Mortgage. In 2021, our last year, our full year of mortgage brokering and running the company, we funded just over 1,000 units in that 1 year. So we do have a lot of experience when it comes to financing, building a team, building a process, and that's what we want to share. We want to share everything that we built within that group, and it's a lot of what we're doing here at a Better Way Mortgage Group again. So that is really why we're doing this. Is just to share everything that we built. What we found is some of the most successful people in this industry have been willing to share and collaborate their time and efforts to help us grow. And that's one of the coolest things about this industry. I'd say that's personally why I fell in love with this industry, is just how nice people are and how willing they are to share. I can't state that enough. To compare that to the real estate industry, I would bet you probably talk to 10 realtors and probably 9 of them would say how competitive it can be, and how unwilling realtors are to share their resources and collaborate with each other. I mean, I think that's changing a little bit now with the younger generation, but again, just a reason that's something that's fueled the mortgage industry for many, many years, and is a big reason why I fell in love with this industry, and why we want to give back and continue to share that. So that's really why we're doing this. Unless any of you guys have more to add to that, like, maybe what is your why for this show, and why you're sitting here, Jason, for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point. I mean, when I talk to a lot of, bank specialists or even new people trying to come into the industry, what they do feel is like they're going to be, kind of left alone on their own island. They're not going to know who to talk to, where to go, how to do things. So, one thing that I found in this industry is, Dean, you're absolutely correct, is that most of the tenured, seasoned, high producing brokers, they don't shelter any of the things that they've done to be successful. They're actually more than willing to share and help the newer generation come in and grow. So, I think that, really the purpose of this is for us to just kind of share our experiences along the way, and, really help out, primarily, I mean, our group of people that I think we're running about 270 strong right now. So, maybe even a little bit above that, and just, helping guys and gals grow along the way. And, the one interesting thing is when you talk to any of the, the seasoned brokers out there, is they're never done learning. They always want to try to find tips and tricks along the way to, enhance their skill set. And I think, I mean, I've been at this, 20 years close to, which is half of my life, and I'm still learning stuff every day. So, for me to share what I know and pick up stuff from you guys and others along the way, that's the massive benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with every point that you just made. I think there's so much information in this business, everything from like policy to process to technology. Like we'll dig into kind of some of the topics that we plan to really attack here, but there's just so much to know. And it's been very eye-opening for me, to be honest with you. Like, we've always been very systems and process, and we built teams and we've done all this stuff. And I learned pretty quickly that there's a lot of high producing mortgage brokers in this industry that don't have a lot of structure. And, even from a lender and policy standpoint, there's stuff that people are missing because there's just so much to know. And don't get me wrong, like, we are not the be all end all of all this information. And we plan to bring on a lot of strong guests and lender partners, and, explaining the back end of lenders and how they work. And I just, we love this because we can share information. It's collaborative. Everyone will benefit from this. And, we don't plan on making these really long episodes because we know brokers are busy, right? If you can spare 15, 20 minutes to listen to an episode that's, maybe something that's going to intertwine into your business, like, that's where we really get off here, right? Is helping people. And that's a big piece for us with the Brokers in a Better Way. We just want to help our brokers be better, do more business, or if they don't want to do more business, be more efficient in their business and have more time for their families, right? So I think that's definitely my why.
Well said. Couldn't agree more. I mean, I definitely follow that same path. And so, like, again, a couple things that I want to talk about of what is to come. So, looking forward into this show and what to expect. So certainly there are going to be some great guests that we're going to bring on. We are certainly going to have some pretty unique individuals that can give you some really interesting insights as we go forward. But a lot of this will actually just be the three of us just diving into the topics that have made us successful, and that, and also what we've learned from the brokers within our group. So definitely highlighting some of the brokers in the Better Way Mortgage Group, where they will be featured on this show and sharing some of the things that, help them be successful. Some of the topics that I think we're going to cover as a group that we'll just rattle off, like cold calling as an example. Cold calling is a for a lot of people, it sucks. They don't enjoy it, but there are some ways to be really successful at it and actually find some enjoyment out of it. So we're going to touch on, things like cold calling, process, so how to build a team, or just ultimately how to build a process to be more efficient with your time and maybe work less for the same amount of dollars. Scripting, so getting into some of the scripting that really helped us be successful and provide consistency when having a team. Things like, what is your consultation call with a client up front? What does the planning session call look like when you're delivering the plan? How are you closing the deal? Or what are some of the scripts on, say, certain calls, such as to the database, funded clients, so on and so forth. Like, we're going to touch on all of that, and that goes hand in hand with email templates and all the templates that we built and created over the years, and some of the ones that have been shared within our group. We're going to share all of that stuff with you. Submissions and platforms technology, these are probably some of the hottest topics in the industry right now. And, a lot of people in the industry like to talk about the technology wars that are kind of going on to a degree. We can shed some light on that, and ultimately the ones that we're finding to be the most successful for us. Strategies to grow your business, community involvement. We've been very successful with our broker firm, Thrive, and hosting events. It's something we've done really, really well at, and just want to share, our successes there and how to build events, specifically to community focused events, client appreciation events, those sorts of things. Understanding products and lender and investor structure. Maybe Derek, you can kind of take away some of that stuff. Is just, some of the focus that we'll be looking at there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of niche products out there, right? Like, someone might work with Scotiabank and not know that they have a net income after tax program, right? Which could absolutely win a deal. Just little things like that. Like, we're going to spend 10, 15 minutes digging into one specific product that we see our brokers using. So, we'll dig into that. We'll bring lenders on to talk about, their structure behind the scenes, monoline lenders. Where do they get the money from? How does it work? What's the flow, right? Why are some products more restricted than others? And again, just bringing on a lot of guests to shed light on these things. Product spotlights, right? There's constantly new products coming out. There's lenders that are pulling out of the market, new lenders coming into the market. So trying to highlight that so that everyone has enough information that they can at least grasp it, and obviously take it on from there on their own. Just for me, as we kind of move on, and I know this is a bit of a teaser episode, but big thing for me is, like, we always want to help our brokers turn a book into a business, right? Like, there's a lot of brokers that are just brokering, and again, back to all these points, there's not a lot of structure. That maybe they need an assistant, but they don't know how to hire one, and they don't have a process, and they don't have a CRM. And you got to kind of think about this. If you're brokering, you got to always think about selling your business at some point. Even though that might not be your plan, you have to build your business like you're going to sell it. Like, you have to have a structure that you can step away and nothing changes. And that starts from the absolute beginning, right? Like, getting back to the basics of a basic CRM. And you'd be shocked how many people are not using that, right? We know that there's going to be a massive rush of renewals coming up here in the next 2 years. And for the brokers that haven't been tracking that, that's a massive flaw.
Just before we wrap up, I just want to say a couple things. Just back to this industry being such a collaborative one. There are some other really, really good podcasts out there in our industry. I Love Mortgage Brokering has been a pioneer in this space, and for largely, I think they're one of the first, if the first mortgage broker podcast in the country. And so this is definitely not a competitor to that or any other of the great podcasts out there. It's really just to complement all of them and what they're doing. And so I think just the fact that we are going to take a different lens and focus on these topics that we touched on might make us a little bit different and just be another show in your wheel of shows that you listen to. So one thing I did want to touch on is just some of the past experiences that we had around coaching. So Derek and I have spent a lot of time with coaches, mortgage specific coaches out of the US. There's a lot of great shows out of the US as well. A lot of really, really fantastic topics that get covered on podcasts in the US, but they're not always relevant to Canada. So we're going to take a lot of that stuff too. A lot of what we listened to and learned throughout our coaching careers throughout the US, bringing that to Canada and making it more of a Canadianized focus. And that's pretty much all I got to add for today. Jason, any final notes?
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a long list of topics that we went through today, and I'm excited to dive deep into all of those. And I'm sure for anyone listening, you can kind of pick and choose which topic that you've heard that's you can implement into your business. And primarily as to what Derek was saying is having a book of business that you could sell is really the primary goal that we want to try to work towards. And to kind of quote one of the industry leaders in this business, he's saying that in the brokering business, if you do everything right with scripting and the way that you build things, the only reason you should be brokering in 10 years is because you want to broker. And I think if we can help you guys build and grow and get to that point where you have an asset at the end that you could sell and kind of work towards that, I'm excited to kind of shed some light and help with some tips along the way.
I think we can just carry on here because there is so much cool stuff to talk about. But certainly have to just touch on that. 2023 was one of the toughest years for a lot of brokers in their entire career. Anyone that's been brokering for under 12 years was probably the toughest year of your career. So looking forward to 2024 being a better year, maybe not the best year, but definitely a little bit better than 2023 is exciting for us. And just understanding what's coming in 2025, 2026 with all the renewals, all the upcoming renewals that are coming, like to quote another industry titan, like the gold rush is coming. That's going to be in those years. And so just getting, proper systems, plans, scripts, all this stuff that we're talking about in place and being ready to handle that gold rush is going to be key. And yeah, I mean, I think another quote that we'll all take is just, you get the gold when you dig deeper, and digging deeper is what we're doing here, and what we're hoping all you do after listening to this show. So I'll kind of leave it off at that, and we'll be coming out with an episode every 2 weeks for the year of 2024. And if you like it, please like the show, subscribe to the show, give us your feedback, good or bad. We want it all. We're excited to carry on. So thanks for listening, and on to the next one.
You got me loose and set me free. You make